Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play StarTropics 2. In the last part we finished off Chapter 8 and now we're into the game's final chapter, Chapter 9, and it's a pretty familiar looking place. It's been about 5 years, but we're finally back at Sea Island for not very long. Palm trees, a beach. I'm on Sea Island! You've got to help Mika. Hurry to Coral Cola. So while we're back on the starting place from StarTropics 1, you basically cannot access anything on the top half of the island at all. Your main goal here is to get to Coral Cola and find a lot of boars. I guess they've repopulated since we were last here, but strange. Yeah, maybe something's up with the Elder? Oh, you've all turned into boars, haven't you? Oh no, oh no, oh boy. Well, that's a new one. So, of course, our final dungeon is right back where it all started. Mike, welcome back to Coral Cola. The strange thing has happened. I came back from fishing and found all the villagers have changed into wild boars. If that isn't weird enough, odd sounds have been coming from this tunnel. Please help us, Mike. And it's not just like the location's the same. We're literally redoing the first dungeon from the original StarTropics just with the StarTropics 2 controls. The music's even back to what it was. The enemies are upgraded, but that's about all that's different. Even some of the items are in the same location if you know where to look. This is a fun little trip, but it does feel weird to revisit the dungeon from the first game when it's only the second game. It's kind of like how Kirby's Adventure on the NES has that entire level that's just a giant throwback to Kirby's Dream Land 1. You know, the game right before it, if memory serves, if not 2 before it, because I forget if, I can never remember if Adventure or Dreamland 2 came out first. I want to say Adventure did. That level made more sense in the remake, because at least that was like a decade later. To me, even if there was, I think, like a 4-year gap between StarTropics 1 and 2, a sequel isn't long enough to pull this type of move. Maybe 3 sequels down the line, maybe. Or end of a trilogy kind of deal. With that said, because we're dealing with the StarTropic 2 controls here, as well as the fully upgraded arsenal, this place isn't that much of a threat because the level design's very open, you have plenty of space to move in, and the enemies aren't absurdly aggressive. They even give you a free tri-star here, which I recommend just kind of holding on to for the boss fight coming up in a few moments. And they give you plenty of hearts too. Not that you would need them in this particular dungeon, but hey. I want to say the only room they added during the first portion here is where there's a potion room to the east that I believe was in the original game. There's now another room to the north of that I don't think was there, but it's also been a hot minute since I played the first game, so I don't quite remember. To open the door on the right, jump on that panel, grab this orb, and there you go. Now, admittedly, the second treasure room in particular is one that when I first played the game, I couldn't figure out how to get the items within it without taking a hit. It was before I learned truly how far your jump could go here in StarTropics 2 that you can do those particular jumps. That's particularly why the little void jumps that speedrunners can do are possible. I thought I had to jump onto the spikes and then just get hit there and take some damage to gain more health than I would get from it, so to speak. But no, you can just pull that kind of tricky diagonal jump. The awkward thing about doing those particular jumps is that Mike's momentum forward when jumping is very 0 to 100, so there's not much room for you to have, like, very fluid control, but it's not too hard to make that jump at the end of the day. If you've gotten this far in the game, you're definitely used enough to Mike's jump arc, so it's not going to be a problem, I feel. But time for the boss! The giant snake returns from the original game, but now it's a skeleton because we killed it last time. It's only got one attack though. It breathes down the entire column it's on with a giant bit of fire while some spread shot fires go in either direction. You want to stand directly to the right or left of whichever column it's on, and as far south as you can, and just hope you can hit it with the tri-star from wherever you are. Psychic Shockwave would theoretically be useful here. In fact, it probably is the preferable method if you want to save the tri-stars. But I'm not even sure you can save the tri-stars for what's coming up. Honestly, I honestly forget. Keep at a distance, and you should be fine. This isn't a very hard fight. It's more aggressive than it was in the original game, only because it actually gets to attack. Whereas in the first game, you kind of just went into its attack willingly to Pyrrhic victory it down to death. But it's not much to write home about. If anything, it's kind of a nice breather boss after some of the more recent ones. And there we go, we've re-killed it. Swear to God, if there's ever a StarTropics 3 and you come back again as a ghost. I even think back, I think in the original game you could see its skeleton on like the equivalent to this screen we're on right now. But we're not done yet. We got a giant restock room and some conveyor belts. These conveyor belts lead to more heart restores, as well as a lot of potions if you know the pathway. I think you can get upwards of 5 or 6 here. This is the point I was talking about earlier in the LP where the max I've had is like 5 or 6. Now, if you're wondering why they are giving you such a weirdly generous restore point, it's because you're gonna want to use it. We're coming up on a boss rush. It's not every boss in the game like it is usually like a Mega Man game, but it is at least one boss per chapter that actively had a boss fight, like Yum Yum's there, the giant scorpion, the ghost miner, things like that. But since it's the same bosses we've seen with literally no difference besides, I think, Yum Yum not having the boar so you can just kill him without much of a problem, we're gonna do the usual. Music time. Trails series music is so good. I can't wait for Azure to come out so I can actually get to the Cold Steel games I've had on my shelf for close to a year, 2 years in some cases. But now it's time for the final boss of the game. Starting off, we got some Zoda spawns here. You can only damage the one that is closer to a lighter pink than the darker purples, the one that looks different all the same. The others are all just going to move about randomly and fire at you about at the same time, but once you take care of the different colored one, they merge together into Zoda-Z. Starting off, this fight works a little bit like weirdly Vati would in Minish Cap down the line, where he moves about randomly, firing one of 2 different types of projectiles. The lighter spread shot that tends to helmet on you, or a larger spread shot that will actively turn you into a boar if you get hit by it for a few seconds, and you kind of just need to keep your distance if that happens. That's about all this fight does for now until we reach the 3rd phase. The big problem is he really hurts, especially if you get any contact damage in. Keep your distance, use the Ultra Psychic Shockwave, it really is your best weapon here, and if you fall below the point of health where you revert to the Super Psychic Shockwave, use a potion. Love the boss fight theme here, by the way. You could have been using the Tri-Stars during that boss rush. The main reason I didn't is because I frankly forgot I had them. If there is bosses I would recommend using it on in there, it's probably the Ghost Miner, as well as the Zoda-Y fight. Saving them for Zoda-Z here isn't a bad idea. I just personally prefer to use the Ultra Psychic Shockwave because not only is there a higher rate of fire, I think it also just travels further from memory. Now, I already said there's a 3rd phase, so you shouldn't be surprised by this. Zoda-Z's 3rd form, on top of an already high health pool, Phase 3 has 3 new attacks added onto the 2 attacks from the last phase. And touching him really hurts, as you can see. One of the attacks is a lightning strike, where he'll call down about 2 or 3 lightning bolts to strike where you were when that animation started, and then have a minor explosion effect that goes out from there, right here even. Moving around and jumping is just the best way to dodge that. He's got a fire attack where he'll make fire move in from the left and right sides of the screens to try and encroach on you, sort of a pincer attack. And easily the scariest attack because of the touch damage alone is he'll start spinning in place every now and then and become invincible. And he'll move at you at a faster speed than his normal movement speed. That's probably the scariest attack, if only because by this point you've probably exhausted a lot of your potions from the stock up point. So just try to stay towards the walls and as far away as you can from him. I genuinely forget where you start over if you die in this fight. I'm not sure if it's at the room right before it, or if it's at the start of the boss rush. Because I get so paranoid about getting hit here that I sort of enter that reflex mode where you enter bullet time, and time just seems to slow down, and you get hit a little less. This fight isn't hard, but it is dangerous. In the case you end up reverting back down to your Ultra Psychic, or your Super Psychic Shockwave from the Ultra Psychic Shockwave, Tri-Star is probably your best move there. That's probably why I ended up saving it if I didn't forget about them. Just be careful. This phase can be a bit of a nightmare in terms of how much is going on, even if I don't think it's that hard. Also, extreme flashing light warning. In fact, that goes for the rest of the part just about, because one of the ending cutscenes is, oh man, that hurts my eyes. But that's it. That's the final boss. All we got now is ending. And thankfully, they do save your progress before the final cutscene, just in case you get a little messy and there's a power outage. Thanks for saving us, Mike. I have many things to tell you, but now we've got to make sure that the Coral Colons are okay. I'll meet you at the Chief's hut. Couldn't you just take me with you? Okay, bye. Also, if there's an exit to the cave back there, why didn't you just... I'm thinking too hard about this. And you know what? Why not? Let's see if we can talk to a couple of these people, see if they say anything interesting. It's the original screen of StarTropics Syndrome. Thankfully, there's not actually StarTropics Syndrome here whatsoever. You can just go straight to the Chief's hut, and you're good. Thinking about it while we're in Coral Cola, though, I'm kind of surprised looking back that this game didn't do any of the same anti-piracy stuff the first game did with the manual, where you had to dip it in water or something like that. Similar now, I think about it, Dr. J doesn't show up in this ending sequence whatsoever, which is really weird given he sets up the game's plot back in the start of Chapter 1. Huh. Little weird, but it's not like this game's story is exactly great literature, where everything is considered. It's just meant to be a fun little adventure at the end of the day. Let's go see that ending. Mike, the village is back to normal. You've saved us all once again. We'll forever be indebted to you. Now let's put the tetrads together and see what happens. Alright, let's go talk to the chief. I believe all the other space kids here say about the same thing of going, thank you, Mike, and good job, Mike, blah, blah, blah. The hero returns. Welcome back, Mike. You are a power player indeed. Perhaps I can help you with those tetrads. After all, Tetris is my middle name. The chief puts the tetrads together. Flashing light warning. It's HeroCon! Hello, Mike. Thank you so much for saving me. Father, you're alive! Mika, I'm so glad that you arrived here safely. When trouble began in Argonia, I sent you away in the escape pod. And then had my essence transferred to these tetrads. Now thanks to Mike, we are all safe. And together we can go back to Argonia and rebuild our society. Goodbye, Mike! Oi, Torba! Oh god, why can you do that? How are you doing that with your vocal cords? Thanks again, Mike. You will always hold a place as the hero of Argonia. And that's StarTropics 2! There's a little bit of a Mega Man Legends 1 and 2 scenario going on between these two games. Mechanically speaking, and enjoyability-wise, StarTropics 2 on a mechanical level is just a better game. The control is smoother, the dungeons have less dickish designs, there's less weird fluff in the way. but it causes a lack of the same charm the first game had. The first game was all about its unique little island setting for the time, where each island had something of its own going on that was really different from what a lot of games were doing at the time, whereas this game is just, here's some very generic history and fictional characters that we threw Mike into. If I had to recommend one of the two to play, it would be this, but I really wish it had the same general kind of tone and, I guess whimsy is the word I'm looking for, of the first game. I am, again, though, very surprised we have not seen any inkling of at least, like, a Nintendo-backed, third-party developed StarTropics 3 nowadays, because the two games have a lot of nostalgia here in the States, so I'm just surprised no one's ever really attempted to make a third one in that regard. And again, if you guys know of any, like, indie games that are directly inspired by these two games, hey, alert me to them, I want to check them out. I want to see how this type of gameplay system could be done well today, because I think StarTropics 2 especially is a good platformer action game. Especially compared to the first one, because, man, after playing StarTropics 2, I cannot go back to StarTropics 1 mic controls. They are too tanky, even with that game's absurd charm. If you want to play the game, it's on the NES, and it was on at least the Wii Virtual Console. I'm not sure if it was ever on the Wii U's and 3DS's? What a wild adventure. If I hadn't lived it, I wouldn't believe it. And I'm not sure if it's on the Nintendo Switch Online. If it is, hey, there's that, I guess, if you have a Switch. But with that, I'm going to need to end this off here. Thank you guys for watching, have a great night, take care, and I'll see you guys next Let's Play, whatever that may be. See you guys then.